feel like you might hear my neck move. Good morning, everybody. Hello. This is a little impromptu video about just get ready with me and then talk a little bit about my pottery journey, because I posted a little reel on Instagram and the TikTok earlier today saying that let me know if you guys want me to do a video talk through about my pottery journey and how I get to where I am today. So let's get started. First step, am I a YouTuber now? But I'm not even getting brand deals, so should I even tell you what brands of stuff I'm using? First of all, this is my face without any makeup, and I'm in my parents' garden. My plans for today is I'm actually getting my nails done for my wedding, which is happening in like 6 days, I think. Today is Saturday and my wedding is next Friday. I'm definitely not ready. No, I'm definitely ready. Anyways, let's get started. So the first item that I use for my face, it's dirty. It's very dirty. It's called the Sisa Pear Tiger Grass Color Correcting Treatment. I don't know if you can actually see it. It's a little YouTuber moment. The 14-year-old Garbo would be so proud that she's actually doing a YouTube video now. Oh my God. Okay, so the good thing about this one is that because my skin, as you can see, has like pimples and acne on it, and it's pretty red sometimes with the scarring. This corrector has SPF on it. It's a little bit green. Focus. That red, no, green counters with red, so I like to put a little bit of that on my skin. I feel a pimple over here. And a little bit of background story. I graduated 2020 at Ryerson University, which is now called the Toronto Metropolitan University. My degree was in architectural science. The school program was 5 years. You go to school for 3 years and then you have 1 year that you can do co-op. So you can work in the field, have some experience already, knowing which direction of architecture you want to get into before you even graduate from university. And the reason why I went into architecture is because I love science, I love physics, I was really good at math, and I want to be creative. And the perfect subject for that to study in university is architecture, the marriage of art and science. So yeah, that's why I went to school in architecture, pretty much. Really competitive, really stressful, lots of late nights. It was a really fun environment to study in. We still pulled through and went to co-op. The first company I worked at was at a pretty big scale architecture firm called Diamond Schmidt. So if you're from Toronto or if you're in Canada, you probably have seen buildings that are designed by them. I was extremely happy when I got the job offer from them because I had no experience in architecture prior to that, and already getting a job offer at one of the biggest architectural firms in Canada was a huge deal to me at the time. It was really fun. However, it was not really for me as a third-year student because there's only so much you know, and there's only so much that they can give you to do in terms of responsibility. A lot of repetitive tasks, a lot of tasks that no one really wants to do, so they just give it to you. But it was really fun to meet with different people and actually talk to people in the field. My coworkers were really cool and really nice, and that's what I enjoyed the most actually about being in Vancouver and working at Diamond Schmidt. After that job experience, I knew that I wanted to try something smaller scale, and that's when I applied to another company in Toronto that specializes in custom homes. It's more like a boutique architectural firm. Oh, I should probably tell you what I'm doing. Just cleaning this MAC, what is it called? Light Studio Fix. No, that's the shade. Light is the shade. It's called the MAC Studio Fix Conceal and Correct Palette. It's in the shade Light. As you can see, it's pretty well loved. I use this shade over here the most because it's the darkest shade, and I use it mostly to cover my under eyes and some acne, scarring, but whatever. No one's really staring at that but me. So my second job was at a boutique architectural firm where I actually went into the design process, because at Diamond Schmidt I didn't touch design at all. I was mostly just doing Revit work, doing the same project. But at the smaller architectural firm with only 4 people, including the boss, I really enjoy working there because I actually get to design, I get to talk to the clients. I really learned a lot about the custom housing industry. So I definitely had a lot of fun working there. I feel like I got respected more. My opinions matter a lot more, which is really important. even though I was still a student at the time. That was that. I worked there for actually a really long time, I think over a year, because the contract was only for 8 months, but I did stay and work part-time while I was finishing my 4th year of school. You get to see a house before it's demolished, you get to measure the house, you learn a little bit about each client, and you design catering to the client's needs. And the one downside of that, I would say, is that it feels too much like interior design job for me. A lot of the times we were doing mostly interior renovations. We also have to pick tile finishes, which was fun, but not really what I signed up to do. That's why I left pretty much. It's a really traditional industry and very stubborn industry. There's not a lot of changes involved. So that's when I decided to try out something else that's not just design. The thing about architecture is that you have to get your undergrad degree and then you need to get your master degree, be in the field for X amount of time, and then you have to pass 4 exams, and then you can call yourself an architect. I wasn't about to follow that process because there's only so much time in my life and I'm really impatient, and that's how I got into BIM. So BIM stands for Building Information Modeling. What it does is pretty much managing the information in a model instead of managing the design. So super technical, but a lot more advanced in terms of technology, which was what I was looking for at the time. So I did work at a BIM company for I think like 11 months or so. And then I realized I cannot survive on this pay. I had enough of it, so I found a better job with higher pay, but it was at a construction company and I was still doing BIM stuff. That was my last job in the industry pretty much. That's pretty much it for my base. I don't really do a lot of concealing or highlighting on contouring just because I'm really lazy. But I love blush. So this is a blush product. It's the Westman Atelier blush in the shade Petal. Looks like this. Boop, 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 boop. Let me tell you how ceramics gets involved in all of this. So when I was still working at the BIM company, so my second last job before I quit, we were all stuck at home because guess what? It was 2020. I look like a clown. Working from home, not having much to do with a lot of time on our hands. So I just started playing around with air dried clay because it seems like a really interesting medium at the time, because you don't need a lot of tools, you don't need a lot of materials to get started. It's pretty much a bag of clay that I bought on Amazon for $20, and then I can sculpt it with my hands, wait for it to dry, paint it with acrylic, seal it with some sort of a sealant, and that's pretty much it. And the whole idea started when I was browsing for Mother's Day presents for my mom, and I couldn't really find anything that I want because I want to give her a handmade present. Air dried clay seems like the best option. You can probably see some of my earlier air dried clay products here. I posted on Instagram, well, probably like 2 years ago at this point. And I created a little account for it, which I called Grumpy Kid Studio. The reason why I picked that name is because I really like putting faces on inanimate object, you know what I mean. But just to add a little bit more personality and a little bit of quirkiness to the item. And the next step in our makeup, because we're still doing our makeup, it's just really slow, it's a brow. The brow product I use is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow in Pomade. Well, in Pomade. Very not fluent in YouTube language. Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Ash Brown. I have had this for too long. It's like so dried at the bottom that like it's not as smooth as the new one, but I'm still holding on to it just because I still have a lot of it left, and it can probably last me for another like year or two. And I usually like to frame it like on the bottom first and on the top, and then fill it in, and then like feather it out the what is it called, this, like the tip, no, that's the tip, the head, this part I just like to feather it out with a brush. So yeah, I started posting a lot of photos about it. Just doing different designs every day, doing it for fun, trying out with different colors, different faces, different expressions, different details, and it slowly kind of took off. When I say took off, I don't mean by like, oh, thousands of people like my posts, or I have like thousands of subscribers. Speaking of, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Yes, so when I said my post was blowing up, I mean probably like 60 people was liking my post. And I had 200 followers at the time. I was like, why would people even like this air dried clay stuff? And that was when I was getting some comments, some DMs asking me how they can buy some of these stuff, whether I'm selling them. And at the time, I keep on telling people, not yet, soon. I don't really feel comfortable selling them as products for people to use because I don't even know how I would be able to use them, other than just putting rings on them, you know, that's my mom in the back, or decorative pieces. So I keep on telling people, hold on, I'll be selling them really soon, but just give me some time. And in the meantime, I started exploring different options for sculpture materials, and that's when I found ceramics. Now, next step, eyeshadow. I usually just pick this. It's a Huda Beauty palette that looks like this. Take this color over here that looks like that. Makeup tutorial. And I just like put it on my eye like that. And that's pretty much what I do with my eyeshadow because I'm really lazy, once again. Luckily, there's a ceramic studio 2 minutes by running to where I live. And I went there, I took one lesson in hand building ceramic because hand building, you don't need a lot of tools. You don't need a lot of space. You just need your hands pretty much and a lump of clay. And that's what I did for the first while. I started exploring with different colors. Hello, welcome back. This is another day I'm not wearing the same shirt. My makeup is still not done. Just want to let you guys know the rest of the story. At the beginning stage of my pottery journey, I was doing a lot of hand pinch work. As I said before, I was doing the sculpting part at home first, pinching it and adding faces on them, wait for them to dry, and then I would send them to the pottery shop near home, wait for them to fire it for the first time, which is called bisque firing, and then bringing it back home using my own underglaze. And then after underglaze is done, I would dip it in glaze, wait for it to dry, send it back to the pottery shop for them to finish the last round of firing, which is called glaze firing. And I did that for quite some time. So if you check the earlier stages of my Instagram, I have a ton of hand pinch pottery work. Actually, maybe I will finish my makeup because I still have eyeliner and mascara missing in today's look. I'm using a Sephora eyeliner that's like waterproof in the shade brown. I don't know why I'm holding the mic today, just because I'm so scared the battery is gonna run out again. So what I do usually is just like do a wing eyeliner. I'm just gonna put the mic down as I'm doing it. Put on my collar. I was doing hand pinch work for a couple of months until when I have some sort of a collection, and that's when I started planning about my first ever sale. So my first sale, I was doing it on Instagram, like an Instagram story sale. There's not a lot of technicality involved with it because you don't need a website. You just need an Instagram account. Why am I opening this? This has no ink in it. Just kidding, it's coming. So yeah, I posted a little countdown on Instagram a couple days before the launch. I've been telling my followers, my 200 followers, for a couple months now that my stuff would be on sale really soon. Just keep waiting. And I think that's why I had a pretty good traction going into my first ever sale. So I launched everything on Instagram. So I would say launch the same type of mugs, the cloud mugs. I will launch 5 of them, take a photo of them, and people will DM me. The first couple ones that will DM me, I will select them, tell them, hey, you got the product, please, PayPal, whatever. Since there's no website, everything is super low tech in terms of how it's done, in terms of payment, tracking number, everything was super, super low tech and chaotic. Story sales are so fun. When you see your followers, you only see a number, you don't really think of them as real people. But when they actually started messaging you about a product that you're posting and they really want to purchase, it made everything seem real. And that's when I started thinking, maybe this is something I can do as a side hustle while working on my day job at home. Yeah, after the first story sale, that's when I started really thinking about how should I structure this Grumpy Kid Studio as a real business. At the end of 2020, actually the last day of 2020, I registered Grumpy Kid Studio as a corporation. So now we are a business called Grumpy Kid Studio Inc. Incorporated. And then I open a business account with the bank. I can start tracking my expenses and income separately from my personal expenses and income, which is a lot more legitimate than before when I'm combining all my personal incomes and my business income. So learning from the experience of the story sale and how chaotic it was, I started building my own website. First I used Wix and then I switched to Shopify just because Wix has this problem where they keep on selling my product even though the inventory is already 0. So at some point I will have -1 inventory, which is super annoying because it will suck to tell your customer that sorry that the product you want is no longer available due to some technical difficulties. And that's when I switched to Shopify. For all the money that I made from my story sale, I saved it up and I started investing in my business. The first big ticket item I got for my business is a kiln, because sending my pieces to a pottery shop, even though it's not too far from where I live, it's still really annoying. You never know when you're getting your product back, and there's always damage in the process of transportation, and that's a risk that I don't want to take. And if I'm really serious about getting into pottery, I just want to know exactly what's going on inside a kiln, and I want to have control over my own firing schedule, how many pieces I'm putting in, and when I can actually have the piece back. And I kept on selling hand pinch work on my website for the next couple of launches. I learned a little bit more about packaging, I learned about shipment. I can get more into that later in a future video, but this one we're just going into the part 1 preliminary background story of my pottery journey. Let me know what you want to hear more in the comment section below for part 2. The thing about hand pinch pottery is that it's really fun and easy to do, but it really hurts my hand, and my fingers were cramping up that even like doing this motion was getting a little bit more difficult. So that's when I started looking into different options of making a mug. And one of the first options I looked into was slip casting. We couldn't have a wheel at the time because it was winter. I'm still at my parents' place and I still have a day job, so I don't want to invest in the wheel just yet. So I bought a bunch of mold from the internet and I started making mugs that way. So it was definitely a lot more efficient than hand pinch mugs. So you can see some of my slip casting mugs over here. But there's a huge downside of slip casting molds is that there's not so much that you can change about the molds that someone else made for you. So after doing probably 2 or 3 launches using those molds, I told myself, you know what, maybe it's time to invest in a wheel, do it the old-fashioned way, and learn more about ceramics and start making mugs outside. Okay, makeup time. Right now, what's left in my face is I don't really want to put a mascara today, so maybe I will actually just like skip that step and get into lips, because I got these really cute nude lipsticks yesterday. It was actually for my wedding, but whatever, we're using it today anyways. Nude sticks, if you want to support another Canadian business, because you guys are a Canadian business, hit me up. I really like your products. Intense matte lip and cheek pencil in the shade retro. That looks like this. It comes with a little sharpener as well. So I'm just gonna put on my lips like so. Glides on smoothly. That's pretty much it for my makeup today because I'm not really going anywhere. In the summer of 2021, that's when I got my first pottery wheel, and if you follow me since then, you'll probably know that I struggled a little bit at the beginning of having my own pottery wheel, because I don't know why I never thought about going to a class and learn pottery wheel the proper way. If you're someone that just recently got a wheel, I highly recommend you going to a class first before you buy a wheel, because it's really not for everyone. I started pretty much just practicing on it every single night, and at that time I have already changed my job, so my job is no longer a work from home job. It's a job where I need to go on site because it was a construction job. That was the last job I had in the industry before I quit to become a full-time potter. During the day I still have to go to work, and I would come back home around 6 or 7 p.m. and then I will come home for dinner, and then I have time from 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. every night for 4 hours. It's pretty much like a part-time job, going through boxes and boxes of clay. Just try to learn how to center a lump of clay. Do you know how hard it is to center a lump of clay if you don't know how to do it at all? I definitely injured some of my muscle, especially the tricep muscle here, because when I was trying to center, I used my arm mostly. But if you do it the proper way, you can use your whole upper body and even some part of your legs to help you center that piece of clay. But since I didn't learn it from anyone, my teacher was YouTube. It turned out to be okay because I keep practicing every single day. I went to the chiropractor every other week, so I guess 4 hours per day times 5 days of the week, plus like another 10 hours during the weekend, so 30 to 40 hours. That's how long I spend on the pottery wheel and on growing Grumpy Kid Studio as I'm working on my day job. It was really hard because I have to drive 2 hours to 3 hours sometimes back and forth, but it's definitely doable if you have your priorities straight. Because for me, I really want to grow Grumpy Kid Studio to the point that I would eventually quit my job. For the whole summer of 2021, I made countless mugs because I know the pottery wheel is only a seasonal activity for me. I even pre-made the Halloween collection, the Christmas collection, all before it gets cold outside. And it was around that summer where my Instagram started blowing up. And what I mean blowing up this time, I do mean thousands of people were following me. And my little secret behind, actually there's not really secret, but hard work and dedication, and be consistent with your narrative and with your audience. At that time, I was posting every single day. Yes, you hear me, every single day using Reels. The reason why I can still post every single day while having a full-time job is that I have this thing called the lunch break. So during my lunch break, I will edit my Reels and then post it right there and then. I'm not someone that overthinks about the content that I post, just because you never really know what the algorithm is going to favor today or the day after. So at night, I will work on pottery, film the content as I'm doing it, and then during my lunch break, I will edit it and then post it. I get to work on my actual pieces and then grow my account at the same time. So it is doable, but you just need to manage your time and set your priorities straight. And now you might be wondering, what is the turning moment for you to quit your job? Good question, because I actually do have an answer for you. So there are actually two major reasons why I quit my job in construction to go into pottery full time. The first one is because of passion and purpose. Well, for me, they're kind of like the same thing. So I'm starting to lose passion in the industry that I was working in, and I don't really find a purpose in what I do anymore because I always feel like I was doing it for someone else. It's not really working for myself to make my life more meaningful than what it is. And having my own pottery business helps me to achieve that goal. And number two is income. Surprisingly, I was already making more money in pottery than in my day job. Of course, that was before I had to pay for my own studio rent, before I have to pay for all the taxes and utilities, electricities, other overhead costs, salary, paying for the government, more taxes. There's a lot of taxes involved in owning your business. Yeah, so those are the two reasons why I decided to quit. The turning point for me was Christmas 2021. It was my first holiday collection and my first holiday launch. I launched it in November just so that people can get ready to shop for December. And in that month alone, I made 3 times my salary. And that's insane. I usually sell around 50 to 70 items in my regular side hustle month. But in that month, I sold over 200 mugs. That's a lot. And I started preparing for it back in summer. That was definitely a turning point for me and really made me think about, hey, maybe I don't need my full-time job. And maybe this Grumpy Kid Studio can be what I want to do for the future. So my mic died again, but that's okay. This video is coming to an end anyways. This is only part 1. There will be more parts coming out really soon, I promise, after my wedding. My next videos, I will be talking a little bit more about why I decided to move from Toronto to Montreal, what's the process like finding my first pottery studio in a new city, and what the future plans are like for Grumpy Kid Studio. So stay tuned and comment down below what you want to see next. And I promise I will charge my mic for the next video. Bye. She's outside this whole time. I think she likes her flowers more than she likes us. I'm joking. Of course she loves us more. Right? Yeah, I think she said yes.